2024 is going to be a banner year for multifamily construction in the US with over 650,000 new multifamily units scheduled to come to the market this year. Now, will this affect the median sales price? I think it could. As there's more options out there, potential home buyers, potential renters have more options to choose from, which might take some buyers away from the market, at least temporarily. It also could give sellers more options. Now, when they're looking to sell their home, they have more rental options to choose from, either while they wait to buy their next property or while they get their finances together if they're in some sort of financial struggle. But I think the big implications has to do with interest rates. It has to do with what could happen to the overall housing market, not in terms of price, but in terms of velocity. Are we going to see more buyers and more sellers because of the increase in rental units? Now, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I think we could in 2024. I'm going to talk about all that in this video. But first, my name is Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor here in Vermont with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, all my contact information is in the description. Happy to help you whether you're in Vermont or anywhere else across the country. Let's get into the first article here. So 2024 U.S. housing market poised for largest influx in multifamily housing supply since the Nixon era. So really an unprecedented amount of supply, amount of multifamily units coming to the market. And we see here, we're expecting 671,000 units to come to the market. Now, this is big because when we take a look at historical levels, of course, you see that this number is huge compared to years past. Really, we haven't seen building at this level, like they said, since 1974. So way more housing supply, way more multifamily housing than we've seen in years past. And when we take a look at the vacancy rates, which these are homes available for rent, or not necessarily homes, but units available for rent in the United States, we'll see that it's about 20% of the overall housing stock that's available for rent in the US. So we could see instant growth this year of more vacant units for rent just by adding this new construction to the market. And if you watched my video the other day about housing supply, and if we have a housing shortage here in the US, you'll know that there's two sides to that coin, that there's the how many overall units are out there in the United States, and then how many units are available, right? And the great analogy is with cars. You can have as many cars as you want, but if none are available to sell, if you can't buy any of them, then the price of those cars is going to be through the roof. And it's the same thing with rent. It's the same thing with home prices. So the vacancy rate is very important. If we're going to add 20% to that vacancy rate because of this new construction, that could have effects for rental supply, or not just supply, but rental prices moving into the future, which could spill over into the home buying and selling market. Now, let's take a look at a few other things here. If we go back to this article, we'll see that not every article or not every market is created equal. They say here, most of the multifamily supply expected to come online this year will be in fast-growing markets, fast-growing Sunbelt markets, including Nashville, Austin, and Dallas. So this isn't going to affect every market evenly, right? It's going to affect Dallas and Austin much more than it's going to affect Vermont, where there's not a ton of multifamily supply coming to the market. But what it could do is it could take some sellers, it could take some residents from Vermont down to some of these Sunbelt states where rental supply is active and abundant, and potentially rent is cheaper, maybe there's better deals, right? If we take a look at CPI for rent, we'll see that rental CPI doesn't tend to go down, at least not since the Great Depression, where what people will try to do is what happened in 2007 and 2008, where landlords, instead of dropping rental prices to attract more tenants, what they'll try to do is they'll offer incentives. So maybe they'll offer a lower security deposit. Maybe they'll include some utilities in rent. Maybe they will offer 1 month's rent free if you sign an 18 months lease, right? All these little things that help them to not drop their rent, but still get a tenant in there, still compete in the marketplace. I think that's what we're likely to see. But still, even with those incentives, I think we could see more sellers coming to the market and more inventory coming to the market. Now, what is this going to do? What did I mean when I said this could have a big impact with housing velocity and interest rates? Well, if we take a look at CPI rent, shelter inflation is 35% of CPI. Now, this is the December CPI report, the most recent report that came out last week. And we'll see that rental inflation, again, 35%. Shelter inflation is at 6.2% year over year and 0.4% month over month. So basically, rental inflation is continuing to keep CPI high. And as more inventory comes to the market, that's going to ease rental inflation, which again, being such a large part of CPI, is going to be a signal to the Federal Reserve that, hey, inflation is under control. And there's already been talks about them dropping rates in March. They're pretty much done their rate hike cycle, and that's pretty much baked in right now. They have talks that, hey, if inflation's not under control, we might hike rates again, but nobody's really expecting that. So if rental inflation gets back under control and they're trying to avoid this recession, they're trying to avoid this hard landing, then we could see significant rate cuts here in 2024, which could bring mortgage rates down. It could which could invigorate the entire housing market again, right? If mortgage rates come down, and the overall U.S. economy starts to stimulate again because of these lower rates, then we could see more buyers, we could see more sellers. Now, it's tough to say exactly what's going to happen with home prices. Again, I expect it to vary based on which market you're in. Here in Vermont, if work from home still remains strong throughout this economy in this scenario, then we could see home prices start to shoot back up again. Now, in other markets where there are more homes, where there's more supply, the increase in buyers and sellers and the volume of transactions starting to pick up again, you might not see home prices shoot up because there's also a backlog of sellers right now in the queue waiting to sell, right? There's a ton of buyers. I've talked about this many times on the channel about how there's the buyers that are out there in the market, but then there's also potential buyers. There's the buyers that want to buy a home right now, but are sitting on the sidelines. And with 85% of Americans thinking that right now is a bad time to buy a home, that's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. It's tough to know exactly how many there are out there, but safe to say that there's a good amount of demand. Now, on the other side, there are a lot of sellers out there who are waiting to sell their property because, well, it's too expensive to move into the next property, or there's not enough inventory. If they were to sell their home, where would they go? I think if mortgage rates dropped, we could see a scenario where transactions increase, the buyers who want to buy jump into the market, the sellers who want to sell jump into the market, and we just see more transactions going on. But home prices don't really go up or down, at least in some markets. Now, again, every market's going to be different, but that is something that we could see, again, all stimulated by the added multifamily construction coming to the market this year. Now, if we were to see rates remain high throughout 2024, then I think we could see prices start to come down as a result of this multifamily construction, because people can sell and they're not forced to take on a higher mortgage rate. Maybe they have more options to rent. Maybe they can find a better deal to rent and would be more likely to sell, rent, wait for their finances to improve, or wait to buy their next home. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this video. Thank you for watching. Leave me a comment. I love hearing your perspectives. I learn a lot from you folks in the comments, so thank you for commenting. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.